About 83% of you guys are not subscribed. Subscribing, clicking that like button, and commenting all help me out a lot in doing what I really want to do. Thank you guys so much for all your support. What is going on, guys? Rogue TCG here bringing another Yu-Gi-Oh! Not quite TCG deck profile. You notice this is a different client than we were on before. This is EDO Pro. This is EDO Pro. I'm doing this because YGO Omega is a little bit slow on the uptake for new cards than EDO Pro is. So we already have all of the new cards for not just this archetype, but for one of the other archetypes for this week on EDO Pro. So I'm going to be showing them on EDO Pro instead of Omega. Apologize for any confusion or anything. Just want to make it clear this is EDO Pro. Both Omega and EDO Pro are both completely free to play and test on. I just prefer Omega to test on, and because I like how the client looks a little bit more. But that's enough yapping. This is a new archetype, the Fiend Smiths that were released fairly recently, or announced fairly recently, and they work so well with Muskets, one of my favorite deck. So we get to cover Musket again. So here is Magical Musket Fiends, or Fiend Smith. So let's go card by card, tell you what all the cards do, and what I'm hoping the deck does when it comes to TCG. First of all, let's start with our Muskets. All the Muskets will have an effect when you activate a card, or when a card or spell or trap is activated in the same column as them, it gets an effect. So I'm just going to call them column effects, and all the Muskets while they're on field, you can activate magical Musket spells and traps from your hand as if they were like hand traps, for example. So as long as we're going first, all of our traps are hand traps. If we're going second, we fucking cry, but we don't because we have Magical Musketeer Max, so we are Gucci. So yeah, let's go to the card by card. We have triple cast bar. Cast bar's column effect lets you add a Musket card from deck to hand other than itself. Then we have Starfire. Starfire's column effect lets you special summon a Musket from your deck in defense position other than itself. Then we have 2 Dock. Dock's column effect lets you add a Musket card from your graveyard to your hand other than itself. And then we have 1 Calamity, which special summons a Musket other than itself from your graveyard for its column effect. And then 1 Kid Brave that lets you pitch a Musket spell trap from your hand for its column effect to draw you 2 cards. So Kid Brave is by far the worst one. Second worst is Calamity, and you see as the ratios go up and up, the better the cards get. So makes sense. For our honorary Musket card, we're on triple Link into the Brains. Special summon 1 monster from your hand, but negates effects, and then immediately after this effect resolves, Link summon 1 Link monster using monsters you control as material, including that monster. This Link summon can't be negated, and your opponent can't activate cards or effects when that monster is Link summoned that way. But Link monster you control is destroy a battle or card effect when this card's in your graveyard. You can banish this card, add 1 monster from your graveyard to your hand with the same original type as one of those destroyed monsters. You only activate 1 and Link into the Brains once per turn. This is a 1-card Magical Musketeer Max that your opponent can't interact with, is basically what it says. Your opponents can't activate cards or effects when a monster is Link summoned this way. It means when it's summoned, your monster can activate the effect and they can't respond to it. It's the same as branded Lost. So, but that for Link summons is cracked, especially with Link into the Brains, because when we get to the Magical Musketeer Max, you'll actually understand what that means for this deck. We are on triple Magical Musketeer Cross Nom. If you control a magical Musket monster, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls until end of turn. Its attack and defense are 0 and it has its effects negated. You can use 1 cross stomp per turn. Since it changes its stats, we can use this in damage step, which is quite nice. Lets us get over monsters, since a lot of our Muskets, if you look at their stats, 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 1,500, 1,600. Oh, isn't that nice? It's like I almost ordered them or something. No, but they're really small. They're weenies. They're all weenies. So we have some trouble getting over monsters. So having both a modal spell and trap, a modal monster effect negation, and being able to also change the attack of that monster to 0 is very nice. We're on double Last Stand. It's a counter trap. Keep that in mind. Negates spell and trap card and control a Musket. Really simple. Thing is, it's a counter trap, and not a lot of people recognize that, so they try and respond to it. And it's like, no. You can't. It's a counter trap. So it just ends the chain immediately, functionally, from against most decks, since most decks don't have a counter trap in hand they can respond to it with, which is quite nice. We are playing the 3rd one of this in our side deck. This one's really good in this format. Magical Musketeer Dancing Needle. If you control a Musket, you can target up to 3 cards in the graveyards and banish them. Simple as that. Banish 3 from any graveyard. DD Crow on crack. Oh, it's a nice Promethean Princess, Flamberge, Poplar you have engraved. Let's just get rid of all of those forever unless you want to use your sinful spoils to get them back from banishment. Next, we're on to Despacito. If you control a musket, you can target a face-up card on field, destroy it. Really powerful. Pops anything, not just monsters, face-up cards. Really strong. And then we are on 1 Bloody Crown. This is just a way we can special summon a musket from our hand, and unlocks a zone, which is quite nice. But the main reason, again, it's in the deck is because it's just another way we can summon a musket on board and swarm a little bit. So that's going to be the end of the musket portion of the deck. Now on to the new cards. New cards, PogChamp. New cards, Fiend Smith. New sexy guy on the street. We got the Fiend Smith. It's a level 6 light fiend that relates the entire archetype to light fiends. Oh, I wonder what light fiends there are to be able to support. So the Fiend Smith has this effect. You can discard this card, add 1 Fiend Smith spell trap from your deck to your hand. You can target 1 Fiend Smith equip card you control and 1 monster on the field. Send them to the graveyard. If this card's in your grave, you can shuffle 1 other light fiend from your graveyard into the deck, extra deck. Special summon this card. You can only use each effective Fiend Smith once per turn. That's why some of their extract ratios are going to be looking a little bit different than they typically do, because we can shuffle them back into our extra deck in order to just get them again. That's why we're not too concerned about running too many muskets, because we can just shuffle them back into our deck and access them again. So the Fiend Smith is a really, really strong card. Fiend Smith plus any magical Musketeer is a full combo, but the best ones is going to be Caspar and Starfire, most definitely. And once we get to the Fiend Smith spells and trap cards, you'll really see why this deck is really something that you might want to keep on your radar. We are on 1 honorary Fiend Smith, the Fabled Lurie. It works exactly with 1 Fiend Smith card, but it is the best card for it. So we are going to, when we get there, I'll just talk about it a little bit. We are on triple Fiend Smith Sanctus. If you control no face-up monsters or all face-up monsters you control are light fiends, special summon 1 Fiend Smith token. It's a 0/0 light fiend. You can't declare attacks for the rest of the turn except with fiend monsters, not a problem. If a face-up Fiend Smith monster you control is destroyed by opponent's card effect while this card's in your grave, you can set this card. You can only use each effective Sanctus once per turn. It's a card that can repeatedly set itself, although it's typically not really going to set itself too frequently because we don't really want our cards to be destroyed. But, it's a nice backup plan. And it special summons a Fiend Smith token, which is really important, really. So we do need to be playing 3 of it. We are on a triple Fiend Smith Tractus. Add 1 light fiend monster from your deck to your hand, then discard 1 card. And that's where it comes up. So here's where Fabled Lurie comes in. So Fiend Smith Tractus can function one of 2 things. It either adds a musket from deck to hand and pitches a random card, like, for example, an extra Fiend Smith we might have. Or, if you already have all your muskets, you add Fabled Lurie, then pitch the Lurie, and then Lurie will special summon itself. So, there's that. And again, this might just be a way just to trigger the muskets, just to get a free body and trigger a musket, which is really strong. Like, if you activate this under Starfire, special Caspar, special Lurie, really nice effect. And then also has the graveyard effect. You can banish this card from your graveyard, fusion summon 1 Fiend Smith fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field's material. You lose each effective Tractus once per turn. This card is really powerful. It's a poly from graveyard, which is weird, not really common. But being able to both be a reinforcement of the army in hand and be polymerization in the graveyard is really, really strong. But that's going to be it for our Fiend Smith main deck cards. Now for our non-engine, we're on double Pot of Prosperity, 1 Cosmic Cyclone, 1 Call by the Grave, and triple Infinite Permanence. We could probably be playing hand traps instead of Cosmic or the Pot of Prosperities because we don't really need Prosp too much anymore. However, I did just want to play with these consistency cards and then 1 removal card instead of playing with more hand traps, just because the ratios I'm not 100% sure on, and it may definitely change in the months coming up to the Fiend Smith's release in the TCG. But that's going to be it for the main deck, a nice clean 40. Now on to our extra. This is the reason we need that token generator. We are on 1 Fiend Smith Requiem. Use 1 light fiend monster. We don't want to use our muskets for this. Our muskets have a way better use, so we want to use that light token for it. You can only special summon Requiem once per turn. During the main phase, quick effect, you can tribute this card, special summon 1 Fiend Smith monster from your hand or deck. You can target 1 non-link light fiend monster you control. Equip this card from your field or grave to that monster you control as an equip spell. It gives it 600 attack. You can only use its effect once per turn. This card is cracked. It brings out the Fiend Smith straight from our deck. so we can use it, at least on field as material. In graveyard it re-equips, or we can put it back in the deck for the Fiend Smith to special summon itself. So, really strong card. Here is the reason why we are playing Link into the Vrains. Here is Magical Musketeer Max. It needs a level 8 or lower Magical Musket monster. That's all of them. If this card's Link summoned, you can activate one of these effects. Either add Magical Musket spell traps with different names from your deck to your hand up to the number of monsters your opponent controls, or special summon Magical Musket monsters with different names from your deck up to the number of spells and traps your opponent controls. You only use each effective max once per turn, and then it has the effect where you can activate the stuff from your hand. But this card says, if your opponent has set 5, special 5. If your opponent has specialed 5 monsters, add 5 spell traps from your deck to your hand. So let's see how many we're running. We're running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, look at that. We're running exactly 5. So even in the worst case scenario, where we just need to go Link into the Vrains, add 5, we can. So there's that. And most of the people, they don't know what Link into the Vrains does. So most people aren't actually going to interact with it unless they are aware of this strategy. So we are playing 2 Magical Musketeer Max because we can always put one back into the extra deck with the Fiend Smith. We're on 1 Cross Sheep since we're a fusion-related strategy. This could also be like anything else, but since we're running Frost, we can always get rid of it. We're on 1 Muckracker because it's a Fiend-related strategy, and this can special Fiends from our grave. We're on 2 Fiend Smith Sequentia. This is another Fiend Smith extra deck monster. It needs 2 monsters, including a Light Fiend. During your main phase, you can fusion summon 1 Fiend fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling its materials from your grave into the deck. You can target 1 non-link Light Fiend monster you control. Equip this card from your field or grave to that monster's you control as an equip spell with this effect. Your opponent can't target the equipped monsters with card effects, and you can use each effect of Sequentia once per turn. This is the one you really want to be equipping to your Fiend Smith's fusion monster because it prevents it from being targeted. It lets you fuse using stuff from your grave, so it lets you bring out that Fiend Smith fusion monster in the first place. So this is the 1 card Fiend Smith like end board card functionally. So we are playing 2 of it just so we can, always make sure we have 1 in rotation. Here are some new cards. This is also why this deck is OCG. Here is Moon of the Closed Sky. Just so happens to be a Light Fiend. You target 1 face-up opponent's monster this card points to. This turn, if you Link summon a Link 5 monster using this card you control as material, you can also use that opponent's monster as material. You can only use each effect of Moon of the Closed Sky once per turn. So what does this mean? This means if we have Moon of the Closed Sky and it points to an opponent's monster, and let's say, for example, they have 2 monsters and we have Moon of the Closed Sky. We just need to have 1 other monster on our side of the field, and we can get rid of 2 of their monsters to make our Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, which is also a Light Fiend monster. So yeah, this is like, why wouldn't we play this, especially if you're playing Magical Musketeer Max and we have the potential to summon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different muskets from our deck? Why wouldn't we play Underworld Goddess of the Closed World? You know what I mean? Of course, we have that honorary SP Little Knight in there, just because it's SP Little Knight. This is funny. I think I got this one from Lithium. Here is DDD Wave High King Caesar that we can make in this deck using our level 6 Fiend Smith and our level 6 Fiend Smith fusion monster being Lacrimosa, and Wave High King Caesar. If your opponent would activate an effect that would special summon a monster, you detach a material from it, negate the activation, and destroy it. So, yeah. That's not once per turn, so you have 2 negations of a card that would special summon a monster, which is really strong. I did mention Lacrimosa, so let's go over it real quick. It needs 2 Light Fiend monsters. Monsters your opponent controls lose 600 attack. You can use each of the following effects of Lacrimosa once per turn. If this is fusion summoned, you can target 1 Light Fiend monster in your grave or banishment, either add it to your hand or special summon it. So this is also a 1 card Wave High King Caesar. You make it, special summon Fiend Smith, and then make Wave High King Caesar. Pretty simple. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can shuffle 1 other Light Fiend monster from your graveyard to into the deck or extra to burn your opponent for 12, which is quite nice because if we do make Wave High King Caesar and then our opponent activates something like and it's their turn in time and that's like main phase. If it's their turn in time in the main phase, we can attach a material to negate something and then burn them for 12, which is quite nice. So it's like a timed burn, like a delayed burn on that. And then lastly, in our extra, we do have Fiend Smith Dias Aurea. or Ire. Needs a Fiend Smith and 2 light Fiend monsters. Quick effect, you negate the effects of a number of face-up cards on the field until end of turn, up to the total link rating of link monsters equipped to this card. Typically is going to be 2, however can be more. If this card's sent to the graveyard, you can shuffle up one other light Fiend monster from your deck, from your graveyard into the deck, extra deck, and then target one card on the field, send it to grave. You can lose each effect of Dias Arreo once per turn. So basically being a once per turn negate of 2 cards on field, and if they do manage to get rid of it, it does send a card, which is quite nice while shuffling back resources. So yeah, that's going to be the extra deck, and now on to our side. The side is completely subjective, so please change this however you would like. We are on Triple Solemn Strike, 1 Gozen match, since we're pretty much like all lights. We are on the 1 Dancing Needle if we really find a Graveyard Alliance strategy, or a Last Stand if we're against like a back row strategy. Another back row strategy card, Evenly Matched. Another back row strategy card, Feather Duster. 2 Raigeki, Triple Skullmeister, and 2 Gamciel for problematic cards that we might not be able to get to the link rating for Underworld Goddess for. For example, like a card that interacts with us significantly, so we might not be able to make it there. But yeah, I do really like this deck. I do really want to hear about from you guys in the comments. What cards should this deck be including? What cards do you think should be in this deck? One thing, we can't play Morganite in this deck. We can't. We have to use the Fiend Smith to discard itself to add a card. So we can't play Morganite. I'm a little bit tired of seeing Morganite in the comments section, because if we play Morganite, we can't play hand traps, and hand traps are good. So yeah. But yeah, please tell me what you guys think about this deck in the comments. I do want to see it. I read all the comments. I don't respond to all of them, of course, but I do read them all and I respond when prompted. But that's going to be about it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Thank y'all so much for watching the video. It really means a lot. If you want to talk to other Yu-Gi-Oh players in a competitive manner, please feel free to check out my Discord. We are still growing, but we would love to have you, and we plan to do some events sometime soon. You'll also be able to do cool stuff like vote on future videos and topics of videos, so swing by sometime and check us out. I also started a Patreon, so that'll be linked in the description of my videos from now on. Donating would mean a lot and would help in producing these videos. Right now, there's only one tier, being Tier 1 Femboy. This tier includes access to an exclusive Discord channel where you'll be able to talk amongst other femboys and have access to discussions with me as well as getting a shout out in every video following your patronage. Thank you so much for all your support.